Welcome to episode 4 of Tripod, an essential guide to audio advertising from Trisonic, the specialist audio media buying and creative agency. I'm its co-founder and creative director, Matt Hopper. This time, I and my guests, creative head at BBC Creative Debbie Dillon and creative consultant Kieran Murphy, talk about creative standout and audio branding in Have We Got Your Attention?
So we need people to act, we need to show performance, a return on investment. How do we ensure that our ad is effective?
I think you just got to make it compelling, right? That, as a creative, would be my first thought. It's got to go out in however many spots, so however many people can listen to it. But if it's rubbish, no one's really going to care. So I think the first ballot for me is like, how can I make this compelling as a writer to make someone care about it, connect in an emotional sense, whether that's like, well, that's funny, or God, wow, I should really, donate to that appeal, or whatever it is. It's got to have some sort of capability to connect on an emotional level with its audience, I think.
Yeah, it is about feelings. It's about making people feel a different way about something, or feel inclined to do something. It's about that, isn't it? So how do we do that?
Creative standout?
And what is creative standout? It's
where you hear something which engages you and makes you listen, because if you're talking about broadcast radio, people listen to it in the background. It goes on. You have to bring people in. You have to catch their ear. You have to engage them. And a good way of doing that is to make something that's creatively engaging and makes them sit up and listen, and makes them want to listen to the end of the ad, which they wouldn't necessarily do. It would just wash over them and be on in the background.
And there are so many tools available to be able to do that. You can look at the voice that you're using, or the music that you're using, or hopefully at the very core you're thinking about the message that's coming across and how it's written and structured. There's lots of ways of doing it, which is the exciting thing. There's no one way to slice it.
And music is extremely emotive. It can be and memorable, and it does all the things that you really want audio to do. You want to get people listening, you want them to remember it, and you want them to feel something. So music is a brilliant way of doing that.
Well, McDonald's, we've mentioned them before, have past masters at that for over 20 years now. They've been using that whistle, and that speaks volumes in 3 seconds, doesn't it? It tells you all you need to know.
And I think it's not something that is inaccessible to be able to achieve. I've worked with lots of clients who it might be their first time on radio. I want a jingle, and you think, okay, what's the plan here? Is this going to be kind of worth it for you? But we're not talking like astronomical Hollywood budgets to make like a little sonic ident. So it is very achievable and accessible. And as a creative, they're really fun to do, to work with talented musical producers in such a unique medium. And also bringing the client on that journey is really fun, to be like, oh, we've made you so many cuts of this one might be like a calypso version, or something, maybe a restaurant or something. And there's lots of avenues that you can. That's the exciting part about getting into radio, I think, and that's what clients like.
Yeah, better than library music, because if money's tight, it's got to be library, hasn't it?
I think there's absolutely a time and a place for library music. And if it is handled well and used in the best way, I don't like people dissing library music, actually. It's very useful.
It is. And it's become more sophisticated now, because you can do more than just download a stereo mix. You can download stems and play around with it and make sure it does what it's supposed to do at various stages in the ad.
You can. And I actually think that library music, any music, but library music in particular, as long as it supports your ad and it tells a story. So the music tells a story along with what's happening in the ad. It doesn't just start at the beginning and finish after 30 seconds and does what it does. It needs to work with your voice, with your sound effects, with your narrative. It needs to do lots of different things. And as long as it does that and carries the listener through to the end, I think it's just as powerful as commercially released music.
What about the sonic as a standalone?
again, it has its place. And I think that is one of the things you need a long-term plan for. And it also works better. I mean, I'm sure there are lots of sonics which have just been employed for radio campaigns. But of course, if you're looking at the whole breadth of your advertising, so if you're looking at TV and social and out of home and print, well, not print, because that wouldn't work for sonics. Or out of phone. But if you're looking at the whole the whole breadth of your campaign, you need to use it everywhere. You need to actually get it embedded into people's minds, because it won't work otherwise. You can play it to death and no one will understand what it means. If you've got it on other platforms, suddenly people put two and two together and it makes a lot more sense to them.
100%. And like really creative ways to use them I've seen as well. That there were, I think it was a credit card company that when you tap to pay,
MasterCard.
Yeah, that was it. You hear the sonic ident. It's in app as well. There are really creative ways to get more bang for your buck with it as well.
And how many more places now have we got with apps? I mean, the fact that you've got sonics within apps, it gives us so much more freedom.
Yeah, a classic example, it dates back a few years now, is SNCF, the French railway operator, who embraced the idea of audio branding before. They were quite visionary in that sense, because they created a sonic, they created a long-form track, they used the sonic in place of the bing bong on station platforms. Their ticket machines all had the sonic. They had a radio station at the time putting out travel information, and all the branding for that radio station was repurposed from that sonic. So, consistency in terms of length of time over which it's used and the places in which it's used is the key to music, don't you think? Music use.
Completely agree. And I'm going to go and check that out, because that sounds amazing.
It is.
What you ask your listener to do in your call to action can make or break an audio campaign, so it's vital to get it right. We'll cover that in our next episode. That phone number again. We'd love it if you could follow or subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode, and a rating and review would be great if you have time. For more details, find us at trisonic.co.uk.